the countdown here. All righty. So now we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Around the Bowling World with Patrick, episode 2. And today we have guest star Jason Guest from KR Strikeforce. Jason, hello. How's it going, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me. Hope you're doing well.
No, thank you for thank you for coming on. I see you're not in the normal office. You're in the pro shop today.
Yeah. So I do own part of a pro shop. And Sundays are my day and my business partner's day to work.
Gotcha.
And it just so happened for this Sunday to be my day. And I had every intention of closing at 5 and running home to get on this podcast with you. But I got absolutely run over today. And so yeah. I'm still here. So
yeah, no, I definitely understand how that happens. I think last time the podcast ran with Kyle, it was supposed to be on Saturday, and then we rebooked it for Sunday. We pushed it back a whole day because I was legitimately still in the shop till 5:45 with 15 minutes to go. So I was like, yeah, let's maybe not do today. And then he also was traveling, so he was traveling to executive. Which actually, this picture here in the background, that's actually executive, a picture that I got at Expo last year. But Jason, let's go ahead and get to know a little bit more about you. A lot of people might not know you, and I know that I do, and I know what your job is and what you do for the company. But if you want to give us a quick job description rundown, time with the company, and
I'm going on it'll be 10 years with Strikeforce in September, which is that's kind of crazy to realize. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but I guess when you work with people that you love and do something that you love, it never feels like work. And being in the bowling industry pretty much my entire life, I don't feel like I've ever worked a day in my life. But
right,
my responsibility, my responsibilities at Strikeforce, I have a few little different ones, but my main responsibility is, and my title is Bowling Footwear Product Manager. So I am in charge of all the shoes, and developing and designing and importing the shoe line for Strikeforce. And when I first started, we had the Brunswick license, and we brought that first high performance Brunswick shoe to market, TPUX, and then we had Hammer after that, and now we have our own brand, and we're kind of expanding on that with some motive shoes that should land later this month. So
sweet, awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. You could definitely see the things kind of going across the board from the TPUs and the Brunswick line, and then coming down to the Hammer Forces and the Hammer line of shoes with like the Bosses and so on and so forth. And then now that we have, Mavericks, Mavericks, Rages. I know there's a new color Maverick that's coming up that you and I have already talked about. And some other things that are developing. I'm not going to say anything because I know that you have a lot of plans for that stuff, and I'm sure that with time everything will reveal. But it's definitely awesome to see the time that KR has been in the industry, and even if it's in the background, how they're still predominantly big. And then now that you guys have your own line, I mean, I know slowly but truly I've did a little bit of updating. I've grabbed a couple more KR items and put them on the shop that actually say KR on them. A lot of people actually enjoy the new rebrand. The colors are a little bit more they're different. I mean, not even more of anything, it's just different than we're used to seeing a lot of darker, not so poppy colors, and now we have a little bit of red, a little bit of white.
Yep.
Changing it up a little bit.
Well, yeah, and the whole rebrand, I guess, I've been with the company for 10 years, and through that whole time until this last year and a half or so, we've always kind of had a license for most products, right? Whether it be shoes
Right.
or accessories, we've always had our own line and brand of bags.
Right.
But now that we've got, I got to be honest, it feels good not to be connected to somebody anymore, right? And to be able to
Right.
go out and do our own thing. And that's why you see like, USA type themed stuff. You see donut
Right.
shoe covers. You see all
Right.
this cool stuff that we can do, under that Strikeforce brand, because it's not, it's not connected to a brand. It's not a Hammer. It's
Right.
not a Brunswick. It's, and we can do fun stuff, and we're going to continue to do fun stuff. Because that's if there was one image of our company that I would want everybody to know, is that we have fun, right?
Right.
And I think that's why it feels like, why it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Everybody that works at KR, they're awesome to work with, and it's like a little family. We are much
Right.
smaller than a lot of the big ball brand manufacturers and things like that, but we really love what we do, and love the products that we make, and
Right.
the majority of us are bowlers, and so we take pride in making these products, and want to make stuff that bowlers want and need, and that work well for them.
Right. And this is something that I say just from like personal experience primarily, because obviously beforehand I didn't know KR was the mind behind whenever it comes down to like the EBI days, right? So before the whole acquisition of Brunswick buying out Ebonite International, so a lot of people, it's like, you guys want the Hammer shoes, you can just get the KR shoes. Everybody looks at it and they're like, I no, but I want the Hammer ones. I'm like, but you're talking about the original Hammer Forces and stuff like that. If you want those same shoes, they still exist. They're just under a different name brand. And I tell people left and right, it's like, from experience, I've worked a little bit less with you until here recently, with last year, come Bowl Expo and getting to know you a little bit better, and as well as the rest of the team a little better. But I've worked with Rob Law for, years.
Yeah.
And he's seen
Yep.
Patrick from day one, basically. And I tell people, it's like, we're seeing the same products re-put out, but in a different name. And a lot of people are skeptical. Like whenever I first brought all the new tapes with all the new names, Sure Fit, Premium Sure Fit, Cool Maxes are now Cool Fits. I tell people, it's like, I've worked with this product for years and they haven't changed other than what it looks like on paper. It's on paper, the different names and so on and so forth, but it's still the same quality. On top of that is having a company that's also looking at not only the smaller scale, but just like you said, you guys are coming out with all these new fun and cool ideas that most of the time you wouldn't be able to come out with whenever it came to working attached to a bigger company, right? So now that you guys have your own control and your own domain, you're creating all these fun stuff. Like, I know Rob Lawrence at one point mentioned that you guys want to do a custom shoe line. And I know that's something that I'm sure at one point will happen. It's like, getting to click through like Nike has, where you can click all your different colors for all your different types. That would be awesome to see at one point. But just in general, I also saw that you guys have, your own custom cleaner and accessory line for pro shops, something that's popped up a lot lately. And just in general, just being able to have a company that if you message somebody, like I know whenever I first started working with you guys here recently, I had a lot of issues here and there. And you guys, I sent one text message. You guys sent me back a text message saying, send it in and we'll get it taken care of. And just having that like open line of communication with any company. I work with so many companies now that I tell people, it's like, it's really hard to work with a company if they're not giving you a back and forth communication line that is extremely open. Because the fact that, I need to be able to, as a consumer or even as like the shop guy, be able to contact somebody and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. And this is what I know, right? What can you guys do better? And you and I've had conversations about several ideas and several. And you've been really open to like, okay, well, let's see if we can try that out and let's see if we can do this. And I know that through the line, you guys are going to slowly improve things more and more. I obviously am a big fan of the shoes. I've been wearing KR shoes since, I wore one pair of Dexter shoes for 6 months, and then after that, it's been all KR product shoes. So I'm really comfortable in the shoes. I tell people all the time, it's like if you want the best of the best quality in shoes, you guys are the way to go. You guys are also following a little bit more of the sneaker vibe, where there's a lot of sneakerheads out here.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Oh man,
That's all I'm gonna say. But
I'm
to speak to what you said, with our high performance shoes, it is still the same stuff. It's the same stuff you're going to get from when we had Brunswick, to when we made Hammer shoes. But
right.
We that merger happened, or the buyout happened in the fall of 19, and our contract beginning of 20 was pretty much null and void. Right? We did kind of shift gears, and we're able to adjust some logos of some shoes to rebrand them. But
Right.
We launched our first Strikeforce branded high performance shoe the spring of 2020, right? So I mean, not the best time, obviously.
Not the best time with everything that went down.
But it does speak to the power of a brand in bowling, right? Like a Hammer, right? That has been around forever, and that people know that. So, that's been our challenge so far, is just getting the word out about, hey, you had Hammer shoes, you loved those. This is what you want, right?
This is exactly it.
And it is growing, but I think, so there's that side of it. But also what makes us great is we are focused, right? Like we are, our kind of our mission statement is to be the biggest company in bowling that doesn't make bowling balls, right? We want to be that non-ball company. And
which is really tough to do. And I tell people, it's like, I don't want to be a good bowler and then be the biggest pro shop guy ever. I want to be the biggest pro shop guy ever without having to be a big name bowler, because that's something you see a lot with shops, is but go ahead.
And I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that. But I think as a pro shop guy, you've got to have some interaction with your customers out on the lanes, right? So you've got to be, whether you're a pro or not, that I don't think that matters, but you got to be able to relate to them that way. But the thing, going back to us being a focused company, is we're not worried about making the latest and greatest high performance ball, right? We're worried about making that shoe better, and making that 3-ball bag better, and making that slim triple lighter so you can fly to nationals, and doing things like that. And that's what makes us better. And look, like I said, we want to be the biggest non-ball company. I mean, hopefully, we get to the point where we're making bags for everybody. I mean, serious. That is what we do, and that's what we do well. And we're not looking to try to get in the ball business, right? We want to be that brand that you think about when you need a bag, or you need a shoe, or you need a box of tape, or a chamois, or whatever it is. That's what we want to be.
Exactly. No, and that's something that, again, it's tough to kind of get into that scope of things, but being a company in this industry that's building off of no bowling no bowling balls in general, is really tough. I mean, there's plenty of people right now doing so. For example, like, again, you got Ron Hicklin with CTD, and then you have there's Jopo now that's coming out with their own
Genesis.
Genesis, who's doing their own thing. I know Genesis also works. I don't know if this is true, but it kind of feels like Genesis makes kind of the motive accessories as well.
Some of like the skin tape, I think.
I think the skin tape is what I was thinking, because it looks pretty identical. So I tell people, it's like, I'm pretty sure that's what that is, but they never really had
and again, I think the new like Storm Max tape has very similar packaging, and exactly. There are only so many factories that make that stuff, right? So
exactly.
When you source it, you're kind of limited to where you're going to source it, and you find a factory that has bowling product experience, that's where you're going to go.
Exactly. So I tell people, it's like, it's really good to see a company that's now going out of their whole entire realm to be able to just focus on just the one thing, right? Because a lot of companies do multiple things. Storm does ball, bag, shoes. Obviously now they have the 3G line. Brunswick has their own shoe line, their own bag line. They're trying to build up their accessory line. I tell people, it's like, it's good that all these companies have their own, but at the same time, finding one that's just mainly focused on one is where you're going to find the most success, because you're focusing on quality on just that segment of products, right? Not that any of the other companies have any issues with the quality. You know, I still have to sell all of them. I still work with all of them. So it's one of those things that I recognize the quality where it's at. But at the same time, we also, again, history, you know, I've always sold Ebonite Ultra Grip Tape. I've always sold what was it? I forgot the name of the tape. What the premium Surefit is now. But
Powerhouse. Yep.
Yeah, the Powerhouse tape. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, Lord. It's been a while. And same thing with like even stuff that I use in the shop. Like I just recently replaced my Powerhouse bevel sander. And I'm like, hey, so what do like I called Mitchell at Classic and I'm like, hey, so what do I order? Because like you guys don't have these. He was like, oh, the KR ones. I was like, wait a minute. And then I look at the Powerhouse one that I have, and it says it right there at the top corner of the label, KR Strikeforce, Powerhouse bevel sander. I'm like, no way. And I never really knew that. And then you can see even in this picture that just went past me, and I'm like, okay, well, you see, we're going on with the same stuff, it's just different names. But yeah, so a little bit more about those Motive bowling shoes. That was a big surprise whenever the teaser started going out. I know I got a little bit of info on that a little bit earlier. And I know that I was reached out to be able to kind of do some promo on those, obviously for reasons that I cannot, I didn't, but you know, kind of cool to see that you guys are making a shoe for a big name brand, especially, you know, after everything that has elapsed. Kind of, did that come from they're looking for a little bit of a better way of kind of branding their players with some new gear?
Yeah, I think that, and I think, you know, they have been, you know, again, it's a ball brand, right? And they've wanting to branch out and offer more products for a long time. But, you know, what's more important, right? Making great bowling balls, you know, or worrying about, you know, sourcing a shoe, right? So that's where we come in, right? And another, you know, kind of teaser, I guess, or whatever, is we are going to make a stackable 4-ball bag for them too, as well. So they, you know, they don't. Not every we have 4-ball bags. Storm has a 4-ball bag, and now there's going to be a Motive branded one too. So
so that's 3. That's something that actually we were talking about yesterday in the shop with everything going on with bags, and that's something that we'll get into here in a couple minutes. But with everything going on with bags, it's impossible to get certain bags, right? And a lot of people coming in looking for the old Hammer 4-ball bags. A lot of people coming in for just any 4-ball bag in general, whether it's the inline or the stackables. So it's really good to hear that there's going to be another company in the market with those, just to kind of provide another option. It's one of those things I tell people, it's like the options are always open. If I can get it, let's go ahead and sell it, because that's, you know, if people need it, they need it. Now, you know, obviously comes down to like people have their personal preferences. I'm assuming the colors already without really knowing. But I think some people will be kind of lenient towards those colors if I had to take a guess at what those will be. So it's really interesting to hear. Again, I definitely think that the Motive shoes that you guys are making look really good. It's one of those things that obviously I won't be able to wear them, but I will appreciate a good shoe whenever I see it. You know, you're a little bit of a sneakerhead yourself. You know, I know we've talked about we talked about those easy purchases and all that.
And honestly, that is just that's kind of evolved with my job, right? You know, being a shoe guy, right, and traveling, you know, to Asia and seeing these factories and, you know, looking at stuff and, you know, oh man, that's cool, whatever, and being able to, you know, purchase them over there too is way easier on your wallet.
Right.
So,
oh Lord, I can imagine.
You know, more of that. But, you know, the one thing I was going to say about, you know, our brand too is, you know, as a pro shop guy, you know, you're going to always try to recommend the best ball for your customer, right? Whether it's Storm or Hammer or Motive or whatever it is, right? And when they go to choose a bag, you know, they got 3 different brands of balls and they need a bag. Well, that's where we're the right choice, because it's neutral, right? You know, it's kind of like it's a bag brand itself. So with shoes and bags, you know, when guys have, you know, bowlers seem to be very brand loyal, you know, people.
100%.
And so I think that's where we come in and we have a little bit of advantage there, because we're not, you know, really connected only to a certain brand when people have, you know, lots of different brands of products.
Exactly. I tell a lot of people is like, if you don't see me carrying one of the 7 brands of Brunswick bags and you see me carrying a KR Strikeforce bag, people always ask like, well, why aren't you rolling a a C300 triple or like the new Boss or the new track bags. I tell them it's like, I have them. I have a couple spread out. I also, there's some that are shoved into corners of my closet that I cannot reach anymore
Yeah.
with all the bowling balls that have come out. But I tell people it's like, I also, like these slim triples because of the fact that they have the better wheels, they have a nicer base. Eventually I know probably eventually you guys are gonna have the clear top back onto them, and there's some that do, some that don't. Some people it's like I love the design, and then the fact that they're neutral when it comes to the branding on them is one of those things that I'm really good about, because if somebody comes into the shop and let's say they're brand loyal to whatever company, whether it's Brunswick, Hammer, Track Columbia, or Motive, or any of those other, I want to be able to give them an option that allows them to just say, this is just my bowling bag. This is my KR bowling bag. It doesn't have to do with a bowling ball. It's just the neutral ground where I could put my things in and not feel like I'm obligated to be the Hammer fan or this or that, the other. And I tell people it's like, that's great to have, because there's not a lot of options nowadays, right? So that's one of the things that, we've kind of seen a lot lately is the COVID-19 situation. As much as people feel like it's over, and obviously we're a little bit more liberated on what we can do in a physical standpoint, we still see the issues of the supply and demand, which is where it kind of comes down to you guys is, how's that affected you guys when it comes to the process of like, I mean, obviously you guys can't go across the seas anymore to be able to oversee some of the things. So you do a lot of that over Zoom. And I've seen even your Snapchats at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning or super late at night, trying to do the meetings with China and so on and so forth. So like, how has that affected your process from, designing everything and then getting it out to them and then getting that stuff sent back? And I know you guys assemble everything in the US when it comes to bags, I believe, right? So how's that process kind of looking whenever it comes down to it?
Well, I mean, it slowed it down for sure, right? I mean, the one thing about going and visiting is, when you're at the factory, dealing with them direct face to face, you ask for a certain sample, you ask for a certain product, or you talk about some design things and whatever else. And then, you go to your hotel and the next morning you go back in the office and there it is, voila, right? I mean, look, I think through the whole pandemic, everybody has learned to communicate differently, and not as much face to face. So we're doing it through, through the things like this, through Microsoft Teams or Skype or WeChat or whatever it is. And, it's still good. Right. But I'm a face-to-face guy, right? Like I would rather be there sitting next to him, talking to him, looking them in the eye when I'm asking questions and things like that, instead of, through my computer. But that's the hand we were dealt and what we've had to deal with. So we've done it. It has slowed it up. I mean, the biggest thing about the whole supply chain is just the time. There's two things: the time that it takes to get here compared to what it used to, and the cost, right? So, containers now are, mid $20,000 range, which is 6 times what it was before, 5 times what it was before.
The price.
So there's that. But I feel like, through this whole thing, we've had to raise our prices, and it really hasn't slowed the demand down.
No, that's something that definitely hasn't.
Right?
I tell people it's like, some people come in and they're like, man, that used to be like $20 cheaper. And I'm like, well, things have gotten about several $1,000s more expensive to be able to just produce. And same thing with like just the cost of, like, not just the cost monetarily, but also the time of it. Right.
Well, and that's the challenge, right? I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at was, we've raised prices, people are still paying it. Demand is still super high. Supply is still low. Right. But, when we used to be able to order shoes, they'd get put on a container in 90 days after we order them. And then it would take 35 days to get from there to our warehouse. And now it takes 150 days. Right. I mean, that's the difference, and we're getting multiple containers every week. Right. Mm-hmm. And we still can't get out of the hole because the market is still nuts and everybody's buying stuff still. And, look, it's a great problem to have. I seriously would have thought we'd been out of the hole by now. but
Right.
we're not. And this summer, I think, I don't see any indication of it slowing down.
slowdown?
So I don't
No.
know. I don't know if this is going to be the year when we get out of the hole or not, or if it's fall
I
time.
think
I don't know.
I keep telling people I think we're going to see this go on for probably another year. That's my
Yeah,
prediction because I see it in the shop day to day. We're seeing 4 times the amount of people, 5 times the amount of people. Every day it's exponentially more and more. And not only is it the same people that we're seeing, but on top of the same regular people that we're seeing, we're also seeing new people get into bowling,
yep.
right?
And that is, to me, that is the key to the big surge, right? Is
Yep,
you've got people that were cooped up. Now they're want to get out and do something, right? And they probably maybe haven't went on a vacation, right? So they got some extra money. There was
exactly.
money pumped into the economy too. But I think there's that. And now, like we're seeing, like today, I drilled 14 balls. I
Yeah,
sold 3 more that I didn't even get to, right?
right,
But we're seeing these people that are coming in, new people, right? We're getting in their first ball. They might not necessarily be bowling a league, but they
right.
want their own gear. They buy
Yep.
it. Um, bag, shoes, the whole 9 yards. And
Everybody.
now we're seeing them come back now, right?
Yep.
And now they're ready to get a better ball, right? And
Exactly.
a bigger bag and maybe a better pair of shoes. And now they've got some cleaner and chamois. And
100%.
we're explaining, how to use all this stuff. And, the good pro shops out there are just, they are pro bar.
We're busy. I mean, I'm sitting here and I tell people it's like that's the greatest thing about kind of like what my mission, and you and I have talked about this, but social media is a big part of my day to day. On top of just running a really busy shop in general. I tell people it's like, the biggest thing is being able to communicate new things to people is really important, especially in a time that we may not be able to always be face to face. So, me making my videos, I tell a lot of people it's like, hey, I have a digital business card now. So I tap people's phones, pulls up all the links, and I tell people it's like, hey, if you want to know more and you didn't want to maybe make a purchase right now, because I have a lot of those, they come in, they don't want to really spend too much money or too much time at that moment because they're not really sure of it. I'm like, hey, here, tap your card, so on and so forth. And I show them, I'm like, go through, check out all the videos, find what you think is cool. If you feel like something's cool and you didn't understand something, come back and ask questions. And those people will come back. They come back not only with themselves, but I had a group recently. They come in and they came in a couple, and then they came in with their friends, and then the friends brought other friends, and it's just kind of it branches out so quickly. And then again, the whole situation of like not being able to get certain things and so on and so forth. This is why it's so important to like, have the supply readily available when it comes to what you're ordering as a pro shop guy. Like I ordered the OPPs 6 months back, two runs of 2 shoes per size. I just got 1 shipment. I'm already sold out of 4 or 5 different sizes. So I'm going to go through and, pick up whatever other shipment I can get. So it's like, I tell people it's like, it's really tough. And I tell people all the time, and this is something that I always will give advice on is if you can get it, get it.
Yeah.
And if your pro shop guy is telling you, hey, I'm going to have some more on this day, be the first one there. Cause this is like, it's like sneakers where they raffle them off now. And I feel like at one point we're going to get like that, or we're going to be raffling off like in shops, hey, make sure you sign up and get randomly drawn to be able to get XYZ pair of shoes or XYZ, chamois and stuff like that. I mean, shoe covers too. I mean, I feel like I sell more shoe covers now than I did last year or even the year before that, or even, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. And I have a sales responsibility also where I have a kind of territory that I cover. And if I give one piece of advice to pro shop guys now is whether, it says it's available or not with your distributor, order it, right? And get in line, right? At least so when they get it in, you're on the list, right? Wherever you're at on there, get on the list. Look, they're not going to hold you to it, right? Because they could sell it to the next guy for sure. So
exactly.
At least get in line and have a chance at getting some stuff.
100%. 100%. I tell all my guys, you obviously know how big we are. I tell my guys, it's like, there's like, how is it that you're getting product? And I'm like, I ordered it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
They're like, what? And I'm like, you can order anything that is not there. And if there's something that is not there because of, supply issues, or maybe like there's certain items that you can order, let's say through my distributor, right? Classic products. We can order certain things through there that aren't always readily available. You have to submit an order for them to be able to order it for you.
Yep.
And I tell people all the time, it's like just back order. Same thing. I tell a lot of people when it comes to the customer base, I tell those customers is like, don't go online and back order something, because sometimes it could be for that, for the online people, it might be a little bit longer. We have stuff on back order. Like I told Alex Hambeck and Jeff, I was like, I have a lot of back orders. And they're like, well, how much? I was like, you guys don't want to know, because the number is almost a 6-digit number when it comes to back ordering items.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that I want to make sure that if I can get something, I can get it.
Yeah.
And if I don't need it because there's something else coming out, then I can just be like, hey, classic, I don't need it. Just go ahead and give it to the next person. And that's what I've done. They've been like, hey, they'll call me every week. And it's just about every week on a Tuesday, they call me and they're like, hey, what can we get rid of on your list that we can send you? And what can we sell to the next person? And I told them, oh, you can delete this and give me this. And they sit there and they're really appreciative of the fact that I understand that part of the game. Obviously, I know that part of the game because I've been in the distributor side as well as the pro shop side. So I tell people, it's like, you have to understand the system. And it's not going to ever hurt to be able to like sit there and grab something and have it available to you whenever it first comes in. Because it's the same thing with anything else. If a guy walks into the shop and then somebody else walks in behind them, it's first come, first serve. It's going to be how the world works for a little bit. And it kind of is terrible because of the fact that, till we can get back in the even side of just getting things in, it's going to be a little bit terrible. But as things get better, everybody's making more product. Everybody's coming out with more product. So we're going to eventually see, back out to the even field where we can, see the items coming in a little bit smoother, a little faster, and things will slowly and truly just get better.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think also to this, I know the consumers, I think, have been very understanding too. In
understanding.
In a world where Amazon has spoiled everybody to be able to get things today, I think they understand, and it's been good, and it look, I love helping new bowlers, right, and trying to get them in. And seriously, I think that's part of my job, being able to work here like this and do this, is it's great product research, right? Because you talk to all these bowlers. Like I learned today, this is no kidding. I learned today, this lady was choosing between a hybrid X double, a cruiser double, and a convoy double, right? Had all three of them right there next to each other. And she's like, well, I don't want the hybrid. I don't want the cruiser. I have to buy this one. I'm like, why? She's like, well, because it has pickup handles on the end. And I think it'll be easier to get in my trunk that way.
You know what?
I worked for the company. I didn't know they were different,
I even thought, so somebody mentioned that to me a couple of weeks ago, because they came in looking for a 2-ball roller, because they only own 2 balls, and whenever they buy a new one, they donate their other one to a high school kid or any youth bowlers in the area. And he's like, well, where's the 2-ball bags that have a handle on the top of them? I'm like, what do you mean? I had to go and look. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, and look, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to the office tomorrow in Chicago. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to like, hey, Mike, you got to put pickup handles on the cruisers on the ends, right?
And it's the same thing with I had a customer also mention some of the 3-ball rollers now don't have the straps that connect at the top of the bag.
Yep.
And some people it's two equations, or 2 parts of the equation. Is one of them uses it to lock it so nobody can open their bag. So they tie that and then they lock it with a lock. And then the other is just like the general use case. I'm like, and it's something that here we go. I sent you this sketch for this idea. And that's like the first thing that I wrote down was lockable zippers. It was the first thing that came to mind. And I tell people, it's like, some stuff like that is like just key whenever it comes to like just listening in your pro shop. If you run a pro shop or if you run any kind of business, you have to listen to what the people have to say. And this is not like direct conversation with you every single time you have to listen. People freak out in my shop all the time because I'll be working on whatever I'm working on. My employees are helping people and I'm just, going at it on the press, opening thumbs, going in grips, so on and so forth. And I tell people, it's like, I listen to everything and I can see everything that's happening, whether I'm facing this direction or this direction. And I tell people, it's like, knowing that customers are going to be picky about something is great, because the pickier somebody gets, the more you can help them or help others.
Well, right. As long as they know what they want, right, and know what they need too.
Exactly.
Right?
So like the handle at the top of the bag, or those straps that
Yeah.
go over the top of the shoe compartments, like those things are all key. And whenever I heard this customer say, "Well, I lock my bag with that whenever I travel," because he'll pay for the bag, to be overweight and have a 3-ball roller on the plane with him. I'm like, that's genius. So like, why aren't we doing that more often? And I tell people all the time, it's like things like that, as little information as you can give somebody, even if it's like, again, a handle or a lock or something like that, it goes a long way. Like,
it does, and those are things that we can do, right? Like we're focused on it, and I've said that a lot, but I always, in bowling, I use the example like of Kegel, right? I mean, they are focused on lane conditioners, cloth, cleaner, things just for the lane, and they do a really, really nice job with it because of that, and we're the same kind of company.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that as companies, as bowling centers kind of sit there and like mess with their lanes and kind of play around, and then everybody has different climate control. The climate outside is different for everybody. So Kegel does a really good job of like, let's say you're a particular bowling center that has a very unique like setting, right? You need something a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, et cetera, et cetera. They sit there and work with a lot of places with that. Like right now, they were working with AMF really hard to make sure that everything was running properly across centers, because there are some centers that after the pandemic, machines are a little bit rusty, so on and so forth. Things happen, machines sitting around for months is probably not the best thing. But I tell people, it's like, people always complain about lane conditions, and the first thing that I tell them is like, if you want to know the science that goes behind putting down that oil on the lane, it is not as simple as it used to be, because it used to be just squirt and wipe and squirt and wipe and squirt. And I tell people, it's like, if you wanted to bowl on something like that, I can find you a water bottle that we can spray onto the lane, because I can tell you, I bowled a tournament like that. Not fun. I know plenty of guys that do once a year. Not fun. But yeah, to kind of keep going through the line here, let's see. So there's also the custom accessory and ball cleaner line that you guys kind of have. So is that something that just about anybody could reach out to you guys and do? Because I know that you guys have it to some pro shop groups that I'm in. But I kind of assume that you guys can get phone calls. Like, let's say somebody that's developing a brand. There's a lot of content creators now, along with me, that are developing their own brands. So like, being able to get like in the top, in this corner over here somewhere by you, there's my logo for the podcast. So let's say, the Tang brothers or, Brad and Kyle, let's say they want to make their own ball cleaner and want to throw on, whatever logo or whatever. Are you guys also helping with branding at that point? Like, let's say Brad and Kyle, I don't think they have the specific like logo that they use, but
Yeah, we do ball cleaner, custom chamois. We've done, single totes. We've done triple tote rollers.
I do have a Bowling World triple roller.
Yep. And just a good friend of mine in Salt Lake City area, Jeff Morley, Beyond Revs Pro Shop. He did a run of slim triples, like 60 of them, and it took longer than anticipated to get them, and that obviously the times. I still feel bad about that when I talk to him about it, but he's awesome. I think he sold out of them in a couple months, and then he ordered backpacks too, and I think those are gone already. So there's a lot of custom stuff we could do, designed for any brand, for a college team, for anything like that.
I know we talked about high school bowling. Like I had a couple high school that were asking. So like I tell people, it's super cool. We just got our Bowling World triple slim triples with the old wheel design. And I tell people, it's like I have a couple. I don't have them on display yet, because I'm afraid somebody saw me bring it in and they were like, I want it. And I was like, I'm not selling this yet. It's I think we got initially 12 of them that was just like whatever first came in. And then we just
Okay.
recently received another like 30 or 40. So I think we're going to start pushing them a little bit more as we kind of see them come in a little bit more. But
And
I've been teasing them to people. The pictures look great with that bag.
so, and I think part of the reason why you only got so many up front was there were maybe a little shortage on some bases, right?
Right.
So we were
Which makes
trying to
sense.
give, some to here, some to there. We
Right.
had like, I know you did some for SCAD and
Right.
for Weber, and we had all these colleges that we did stuff for that needed, 60 bags and only got so
Right.
many just because we were a little short on bases.
Right.
That is something that I think sets us apart as far as quality goes because we do sew all the wheeled bags, in Chicago,
Do
right?
you really? So you guys
Yeah,
sew all those together here in
yeah.
Chicago? Oh, okay. That's
But
crazy.
but it does make the process a little longer as well,
Right.
but we can monitor it and we can control it, and it also
Right.
gives us the ability to make a red bag with a blue wheel if we wanted to as well,
Right, right. So it gives you a little bit more customization. I mean, it gives you
Yeah,
it give you guys the ability to be able to customize something to that person, right? So let's say
right.
again, it's Weber or SCAD. I mean, they all have different colors of varying types, right? So being able to have
Right.
that, and not only that, but just knowing that like somebody's putting it together like piece by piece here and watching every single step of the process. So like whenever I get a bag, the first thing I do is check every single bag, whether it's a shipment of like 4 or 5 bags or if it's 30 bags. Recently, I've received, I don't know, I've probably received over 100 bags over the last 3 months easily. I tell people it's like the first thing I do is
Yep.
I open up every single box. I open up every single bag. People will watch me in the shop, like just pile up a whole set of boxes outside the shop and then pile up bags. And then I'll sit there. I'll open every bag. I'll check the whole thing because I'm looking for, any quality control things that I can directly relate to you guys or
Right.
Brunswick or whatever other company that I get bags from. And I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. If you guys want to double check that process or whatever, tell them it's like, this is something that is good to know is that you guys are putting your hands on the bags and putting them together, sewing them together. Because the fact that at the end of the day, having that little personal touch to it when it comes to like putting them together is going to be huge when it comes to just how it relates to a customer, right? A lot of customers put things together on their own. I've seen guys that come in with custom made bags that they made themselves, whether it's like a coffin box or I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen somebody turn a speaker, like an old speaker box, into a whole bowling bag, and the speaker
Yeah.
still works. So it's like,
Wow.
really? So it's one of those things. And I
Yeah.
mean, again, just some of the stuff like we've talked about is like getting those custom made items. Again, we have something in the works that I've proposed. And it's one of those things that just kind of having all those abilities to doing those things is really key, especially in the ever so like evolving market of just we want to see different, we want to see new, we want to see more, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then on the ball bowling, I think on the ball is
Yeah.
probably the one thing that everybody kind of skims out on because nobody really understands where all the NFL balls come from. So on the ball bowling makes at the moment all the NFL and some NCAA team balls.
Right.
And then obviously you guys have the ability to custom make bowling balls per person. I know you guys have a website. I think I remember doing the whole video set that I did on TikTok, and it was just kind of showing the process of how those are made and what website to go to. We also recently did the Bowling World spares. So we have those on
Yep.
our website now. So if anybody want to get a Bowling World spare ball, you can go to bowlingworld.biz and get one of those. But I tell people it's like, on the ball bowling, give us a little bit more insight. Who kind of
And
works that department? Because I don't know who works it now. Is it still Nicole or is
it
it
is still
okay?
Nicole. She's kind of our she's kind of the main designer. We have a couple
Okay.
other girls that help, Marilyn and Ben. But yeah, I mean it's really anything you want on a bowling ball,
Right.
that you can make one of. There's no huge minimum order quantity, that you can get. And I
Right.
mean, like, you know, this is it, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and we have NFL license, we have Major League Baseball, we have a lot of NCAAs. You see, like
Right.
where I live, Hawkeyes, UNI Panthers, Iowa State Cyclones.
Right. Yeah, no,
But
I definitely have sold plenty of those Saints balls. The Saints ball I sold plenty of. LSU.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and then like this is not but it's the same thing that we do a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah,
right?
no,
You know?
I love those. Everybody's been looking for the Saints stuff. I need to sit down and probably put in an order or two of Saints stuff here soon.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that, you know, as a pro shop guy, that I've really learned over the years is when you have this stuff, you know, kind of local to your market, you know, they eat it up. You know, like I said, bowlers are
100%.
loyal people, right? And they want to support their teams. So just cool little extra stuff that makes it easy to sell, and people love it. You know, but we on the ball is, you know, basically like what I said. It's you can order one, right? And you can put a picture of your dog on there. You can put a picture of your car. I mean, we do
Right.
lots of different custom stuff every day, you know?
Right. I tell people it's like that's basically the idea. Whenever I believe his name was Brady. Brady reached out to me and he said, I want to do this video idea of just working on a custom one off for you. And you know, I worked with Nicole for a couple of weeks, I think it was, because of the fact that I had to get permission from all the different brands that I work with and get, you know, all the logos thrown in there. So I can kind of put an idea together of just like, you know, you can have all your different logos. Like let's say you're a sponsored player, or if you're just let's say you're just a content creator like myself, who, like I want actually, now that I think about it, I probably should just get with you and, you know, make the Around the Bowling World with Patrick logo kind of pop up on a ball. It's one of those things.
How cool would it be for Brad and Kyle to have a Brad and Kyle spare ball on TV when they're on TV, and they pick it up off the rack to shoot a spare, and they're like, everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah. Or if like,
and then, you know, there it goes. Right?
Or even like the classic, and Belmo does this every single time, but every single time Belmo goes up and he knows he's already locked it up, the last shot of every TV show that he's ever locked up, finally, right? If he needed the first one and he got it, he always locks up the next shot with the spare ball that up the middle. So, you know, having anybody be able to have their own name on a ball or have their own, you know, branding on a ball and just be able to like show it off in that way. And even like me, like we just got those Bowling World spares. Somebody asked me if I had to pay for them, and I was like, yeah, we had to pay for them. They're not cheap to make, number one, and they're not cheap to source. So I told people, it's like, yeah, no, I paid for them. I got two of them. And I told people, it's like, I got two of them because of the fact that not only do I want one for myself, because I want to represent the company on and off the lanes, but I also want to be able to display one to people. So I've had one sitting on my shelf. People come in and they look at it and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. That looks dope. You know, I tell people, it's like, I can order it direct for you, or I can do this, that, the other. We have a couple different colorways that we're going with when it comes to it. So I tell people, it's like, you know, things like that is really nice, because everybody comes in asking is like, can I get a custom ball? And I'm like, well, you can get a custom ball through this website, or you can get a custom ball in the sense of like fitting and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yep.
But everybody wants to, you know, do their own thing.
We have done tons of it's a great like branding piece for any business too, honestly. You know, we've done lots of, you know, like the micro brews are big and hot in a lot of places. We've done tons of those. We do pins also. I'll actually give me just a second here.
Yeah.
And you can see, so like we do pins as well. So you got like you know.
Yeah, no, I remember getting mine. That was pretty awesome. I didn't even know I was getting a pin. You guys sent me a pin. I was like, wait a minute, this was I think, what was it? I think whenever we did this, it was around the time of Bowl Expo. So I received this I received it during Bowl Expo because it was day 3, and I received it at the shop, and my employee that was here texts me and he's like, hey, you got a box, and then sends me the picture of the label. And I'm like, hey, I know what this is.
Yeah. So those are the main products that we do, and you like I said, you can put anything you want on there. I mean, as long as it's, you know, PG-13, I guess. I mean,
I think it's a PG-13, copyright free kind of thing.
All that. Yeah.
all the fun stuff. Yeah, no. I tell people, it's like it's something really nice. I love the idea of giving people the open ability to just kind of design their own thing. Obviously, there's like the Creative Wiz on the website where you can kind of go through, click on things, and it's just whatever is on there you can do. Or you can always call KR. I believe they're on the Ball Bowling website. They have all the information that you can either email or call. So, you know, you guys go ahead and go over there. I'll make sure I leave it in the description of this podcast, in the rebroadcast. That way you guys can find all that. But yeah, no, that's something that's always really awesome. I think we've kind of gone down the whole list that I have. I know recently
All right.
we've done a lot of video on shoes. I also have a couple more things coming up whenever it comes to making some more videos on shoes. Kind of getting my filmmaking skills a little bit up there. But KR Mavericks, awesome. Seeing the new twist lock technology. Is it twist lock or is it fast twist? I always forget.
Well, so we call it fast twist. The brand is actually Free Lock.
There
is
we
what
go.
it's called.
That's what it is.
And so Free Lock is what's used on like Asics and Puma and some of those shoes. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to hang out here hopefully sometime this summer, and I want to show you some things and get some feedback and see what you think. So yeah, it's we got some really, really cool footwear stuff in the works
coming up.
And
yeah,
really cool. And,
I know we've had our conversation or two about things that are coming up. I'm super excited. I know there's a couple shoe designs that are not out there yet. I saw a shoe design that I'm super excited about. I obviously sent you part of that too recently. Comment from Nola Bola 3. I believe this is Vincent Capitano. I love the American flag bag. I carry all the USA bags in the shop because that's one of those things I'm always supportive of. We love the USA bags in there. A lot of those sold. I mean, the 4-ball stackables, the 3-balls, the 3-ball totes. Some people's like, I don't think I could keep those in stock enough.
No, we had trouble with that too. And it kind of gave us some direction of what to do in that kind of product too. Like we have the American flag one, we have a gray camo. I mean, there's lots of things. Just like same thing with shoe covers. We have a flag, we have a camo, we have donuts, we have scratch,
there's a breast cancer awareness suit. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So many different ones.
Ribbon, So lots of cool stuff that way. And that's like I said, we're a fun company. We want to make fun products.
Exactly. And I'm super excited to get to see you guys again here in the summer. I know that we'll see you guys at Bull Expo again, so I'm super excited about that. I have a really busy week, and I need to get in touch with Matt and start planning out some things with him for Bull Expo. Just kind of like prepping for all that. It's coming. 9 days, I think, this year I'm spending at Expo. So
you're bowling too, right? In that team too?
Yeah, so I'm bowling in USBC Open Championships. So first nationals experience. Not only that, but it's also first Vegas experience. So we're experiencing Vegas for the first time, nationals for the first time. And then on top of that, we're throwing in Expo. I'm getting in early. We're visiting some new facilities that I Am Bowling and Classic Product open up. And then, having to do the whole 9 yards of all the booths, all the things at nationals, the Bowlers Journal. I'm gonna drink a lot of energy drinks that week. But hey, only one place to do it, and it's in Vegas.
That's
Yeah. So it's gonna be a really good week. Exactly. So I'm super excited. A lot of cool things coming up. If anybody wants to keep up with anything that myself and KR Strikeforce are doing, all the links in the description will be there for you guys to follow KR Strikeforce and myself. Jason, it was really great to have you here on. I know we'll see. Pleasure. I know you and I will see each other soon and also talk soon. I know we have a lot of things coming up. So again, if you guys want to know any teasers, I will try to post anything that I possibly can. Jason will probably tell me which ones I can't post, but anything that I can tease, anything that I know that I can tease, we're going to go ahead and throw on social media over on Instagram. I'm getting back into the Instagram game. That's the tough one to kind of conquer. But Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all those different places. Make sure you guys follow all of us down below. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions to drop in afterwards of the podcast, make sure you guys drop them in there. I'll make sure I relay anything to Jason and his team that you guys might want to know. And I will answer anything that I can at the best of my abilities. As always, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. Jason, once again, thank you very much. And I hope you have a great day. Guys, take care. And
peace and love, everybody.